The following presentation is brought to you through the meaningful relationships created through NotaryStars.com. Notary Stars is the only notary training platform and resource library offering 150 plus hours of training on every aspect of a signing agent's career, including over 35 different loan products. Oh, and their loan signing agent training is available in both English and Spanish. Members of Notary Stars are definitely dedicated to signing agent excellence, together with partners like the Remote Online Notary Network, which focuses on notaries who are pioneering in remote online notary. Notary Stars strives to give you a safe place to ask questions, get answers, gain confidence in your notary career, and achieve success without over-fabricating the truths about our industry. If you would like to support Notary Stars or the Remote Online Notary Network, please consider liking this video, subscribing to their channels, sharing this video with a colleague, or becoming a member of either site and trusting them to help you achieve the level of success you desire.
Hey there, friends. Let's kick off this week right. We're thrilled to welcome you to General Mentorship, or as we like to call it, MGM. If you've had a seat at this table before, welcome back. If you're new, just know we saved a seat just for you. Thanks for choosing to spend this part of your Monday with us. Our driving purpose here at Notary Stars is to equip every notary with the truth, the tools, and the training needed to succeed. We've created America's most reliable network of notaries, and our comprehensive curriculum is designed for the modern professional, covering everything from notary fundamentals, complex loan files in both English and Spanish, advanced RON training, and high-impact marketing strategy and training. As a member of Notary Stars, you unlock daily live classes and gain full access to our extensive on-demand video library. And for everyone who's not a member or not, you now have the option to book a dedicated one-on-one session with any of the instructors at Notary Stars for personal one-on-one guidance. Here's an action item, though, for our members. We're seeing a lot of job leads being generated from your Notary Stars profiles. To ensure that you capitalize on the opportunity, please check and respond to these leads immediately when they come in. Unanswered leads are being quickly routed to alternative notaries in your area, so please take a moment now to verify your job leads are not being filtered into your spam folder. As we dive into today's session, remember, this is a collaborative space. Please feel free to raise your virtual hand to ask a question or share an experience. Come on, guys, don't be shy. We're all here to learn and grow together. Mr. Mickle, Amy is not with us this evening, but there was a RON announcement that was kind of important. Do you want to take that for her?
Yes. So listen up, guys. For you that are remote online notaries, and I'm sorry, I have a echo somewhere. It's got to be somebody that's off mute. Hold on one second. Let's see.
I'll find them.
Might be you. I want to make sure everybody gets this. Let's see. I think you're... Yeah, it might have been you. I might be getting reverb when I'm talking when you are. All right, sorry about that, guys. This one's an important announcement for remote online notaries. If you are on the Blue Notary platform, there is a toggle box that says MISMO certified when you're doing a transaction. That has to be turned on when you're doing title and escrow documents. And it really should be turned on anytime. So I don't know why it's there, and I haven't had time to reach out to Blue Notary, but we found it this weekend when a notary was trying to do a transaction for unlimited, and they failed KBA twice, and it just kept running KBA questions. And it kept going and kept going, and it's because MISMO certified, and it connected them to the notary as well. So we found out that when you turn off MISMO certified, which is what all title and escrow companies are asking you to have a software that is MISMO certified, that will allow them to continue to go through KBA questions and connect to you without it. So please, if you're working with title and escrow, make sure you have that toggle box on that says MISMO certified, because that means that you could be not compliant. And at the end of the day, whether they have it turned on or turned off, you may think, well, they should turn it on for me. That's not the job. It's like saying, you know, uh, the state should stamp my document for me. Once you get your commission, it is your job to make sure you do everything properly. So that toggle box is a big part of your job as a remote online notary. I don't know about any other softwares if they have the ability to turn it on or off. That was actually just brought to our attention. I'm not currently processing on Blue Notary, although still a fan. I'm not currently processing on there. But if you are processing through Blue Notary, please just make note of that. Should I go into the notary moment for the week, Miss Beth? All right. So this week from the field, this was an important question that actually came in through Notary Stars. I got the full synopsis, but I'm going to bring the question up for you guys. Recently, there was a signing that happened, and basically, the notary did make an error, was willing to go back, correct it, but they changed the entire documents completely. They wanted to just completely change the entire package. I want to say this with a positive light. You do have to educate clients sometimes. If you go back and correct an error, you should not charge for that. I mean, if it's going to fund, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you've been given an entirely, completely new set of documents or a completely new package, that is a new order. You're going to do a different job. That means they're discarding the first job that you did. They're not going to use those documents. You should be paid. Now, if you make an error and they're still going to use it and they say, can we get one more document in there? You should also do that. I mean, you're already going back for the error that you've made. But if you get an entirely new dated loan document package or any kind of package, no matter who you're working with, here's the thing. I can say to my client, because of Unlimited Ink, I have so much business, one package is not going to hurt me, right? But you growing your businesses, those of you who are growing, you are going to have to be kind and educational to your clients when they change a package and say, I need to change this entire package. If you're getting enough business out of them, maybe you take one for the team, you and your client. But if you're not working with them quite often and you did a whole day's worth of work, you probably want to be paid if they change the documents. And you just need to explain to people, listen, I completed the other one. I will need to be paid for those services. And unfortunately, I will have to pay for this because this is a completely new order. If they decide not to work with you over that, I'm sorry, but not every client that you have would be your client. You need to be paid and promise to be paid for the first assignment, and you need to be promised to be paid for the second assignment. We never send notaries back at Unlimited Ink without paying for the first order. We have a rule: as long as you have called us from the table, you let us know what's going on. If there's any issues, if you show up, you get paid. If you don't call, that's a problem, but you have to know who you're working with and what their policies are. I just have two more announcements really quick, Miss Beth, and then I want to get the night kicked off because we have a special guest in house that I know everybody's going to want to see. And I want to make sure we get these out. So first things first, guys, you'll notice that aside from all the changes on the Notary Stars homepage to bring in more business, and by the way, I can already tell that you guys are getting better about picking up your leads. So thank you very much. Kirsten and I are working in the background. She's shaking her head. We are making the entire front page of Notary Stars completely and entirely customer facing for all of those beautiful trainings that you've been doing out there. Whether you've studied estate planning with Miss Laura Buer, or if you've studied fingerprinting with another trainer, or you trained with Apostille with John Nelson or Judy Lawrence, we're bringing all of those services to light for the customers. And we do have enough traffic for that. We're highlighting your profiles, bringing those of you who have the tick boxes marked that you do those services to the forefront. Right now, Kirsten and I are mostly manning the inquiries in the background, so I do appreciate you. But aside of all of that, you're seeing the Accidental Notary with the coming soon. This is our first book, Miss Beth's first book here at Notary Stars. We do have, the preprint in hands, but we are making a couple of changes. Miss Beth wants to make sure that goes out into the world. So just remember that we do have a book coming. We would love your support. And the foreword was written by the former president of the American Escrow Association, and also Marcy Tiberio Notary of the Year did a commentary on it. So we have great minds looking at this book, letting you know that this is going to be a really great book. Last thing that I want to announce, you might have got an email yesterday for those of you who are not in my marketing course. So in my marketing course, you get access to a template where you can put yourself in every single zip code in America and sell any services you want. And I'm always telling you ideas on how to sell. But I didn't want to forget you guys, and I kind of have for a while, but I needed to do the big project first. I now have a smaller version of that template where if you're just a local notary and you don't want to sell affiliate marketing and you don't want to do things nationwide and you're not a remote online notary, I now have a local website for you. It is the exact same template, just for lack of better words, gutted and dumbed down to appeal to you. And it is on sale right now for $2.99 for the entire template. You do not have to upgrade or become a member of Notary Stars to have access to that. We will deploy them on November 1st. We've had a ton of signups for it so far, but I do want to make sure you guys know that it will come fully with everything you need to do to how to customize it. And it comes with my entire search engine optimization course that is inside my course. You maybe think what else would be left, but believe me, there's still a lot under the hood at Notary Stars. You know us. But if you're paying too much for a website, if you're not knowing how to get your website to come up locally, this is a great option for anybody. And I did a video with the email that went out yesterday showing you how easy it is to drag, drop, click, and change colors and to make it your own. So please, if you are having a problem with marketing, I can definitely help you. With that said, Miss Beth, I think we need to get this party started. So let's get started. I think we're going to skip over some questions and just go straight into questions tonight.
Yep. Mr. Manuel, hey guys, everybody in the audience, we've got 170 people on this call. We only have 1 hour. So if you have a question, I want you to get your virtual hand raised now so they can get into queue. We're going to start with questions off the jot form and wait for you to get your hands up. We prefer to answer your questions live if we can. So, but, oh, wow. There we go. Alicia's already got her hand up. Manuel, stand by. We're going to take jot form after Alicia. Alicia, go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
So my question is for Ronnie. I looked at the YouTube video concerning the website and everything. Is this a one-time purchase?
This is a one-time purchase. It comes with the entire SEO. It comes with the website template. The only thing you'll be responsible for is you have to purchase a domain name. So that's usually an annual fee unless you buy it for several years. And then you do have to pay hosting to Wix. It is a Wix website template. As you guys know, I'm a Wix Legend partner, meaning that I very high up on the totem pole of people who work at Wix. It is specifically made for notaries, but there is no more payments. Once you buy that, you own that template because it's a lot less than what I have in the marketing class. Those people need a lot to go. However, just to let you know, let's say that you get it, you customize it, you like it, it's generating traffic, and you're like, oh, Ronnie, I want more. You can either purchase add-ons after to go nationwide with it, or you can come to the marketing class and we can install them for you.
Okay, and what I did not get was the hosting. Like in a rough ballpark, what is the hosting fee looking like?
That's going to vary per state. So I would say that I would estimate $40 to $50 hosting for the smaller version of the site. I know my marketing students pay up to $150 because they go nationwide. But for a local area, you're going to look around $40 to $50 per month, and that's an average Wix Studio plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just trying to stay on topic here. I don't know if that's Maya or Maya. Is your question concerning a Wix website? If you want to unmute and just, oh, it's not. Okay, so let me have Mr. I got it. Thank you, May. I don't know, still don't know if I said your name right. Manuel, go ahead and take that first question for us. And if you'll read this one's for Kirsten to respond with.
Yes, our first question is for Mrs. Kirsten, came from Patty R. do I need to have an official business name and website in order to set up my Google business page, or is just my name and commission with enough?
So you don't have to have an official business name or a website to set up a Google business profile. You can register it under your name if you want to be Manuel Puga, Notary Public. You can absolutely do that. So it's under the same name as your commissioned name. And many notaries do start that way. And then later they may want to decide and change it. But that being said, Google is great and will help you, but having a website and a business name can also bring you up in the SEO search functions. But it'll make you look a little bit more professional, but absolutely keeping your name, it makes it simple and easy for them to remember. Ronnie, do you have anything to add to that?
I do. I just want to draw everybody's attention to the website. When you are logged in, of course, it looks different on the out, but when you log in, you'll see your standard login that we have for you guys, the new one. If you hover over Notary Basics, if you are struggling with Google My Business, we have, as a part of the membership, even on the basic level, Google Business Profile setup, optimization, and reinstatement. So those are up to date and current with even with the most recent that we did for free. There's a lot of people out there that like to charge for Google My Business and astronomical. We all get those calls every day. As soon as you go online, let me help you with your Google My Business. Let me help you with your Google My Business. And they charge you these astronomical fees. We have it here for you as part of the membership, even at the basic membership level. So if you are struggling with your Google My Business, please make sure that you log in and take a look at those videos. I hope they help all of you. And Manuel, were you going to say something as well?
Yeah, I just want to add that if you're going to start off with one name, just make sure that name, that you're going to like that name, because otherwise you start off with naming yourself, like Manuel Puga Notary Republic, and then find out that you don't like it, and then you're going to have to, and then you start a website with a different name. So my basic recommendation is make sure to think about what your business name is going to be so that you are consistent throughout website, Facebook, or Google My Business. So.
Yeah, and to that point, Manuel, if you are ready gung-ho to go, take it from all of us down the road. No matter where you put your name, keep a spreadsheet with the password and the username so you know where you put all your notary business and what the password is, because some of them want 6 characters, some of them want 28 characters. And by the time you get 2 years into it, you're like, I don't even remember where I'm listed. So take it from all of us pros out here. From day one or start today, every time you log into a website, put a little spreadsheet on Google Docs, bookmark it, and say, this is all my logins and everywhere I've listed, so you know where you go back, and keep notes on those. We can talk. We can't turn this into a Google Business night, but I'm so glad that the whole team has so much to say about this.
All righty, coming up next, Mr. Hal, would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Hey there, how are you?
Doing great.
Hey, I've been lurking around you guys for a long time, so I finally decided to join this week. So I've been coming, I don't know how many, a year or two or so. I got a question. I'm looking, through all the material and stuff. It looks like this website, I mean, I've been a signing agent notary for, a long time. But of course, I just do it around Charlotte, North Carolina. This is my market. And it looks like your website and everything, and you were mentioned earlier, the national presence. We don't have remote online notary in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. So what we have, what do they call it? IPEN. That's the only thing we're doing right now. What is the advantage to me to use the website that you're using or that you're promoting? Because I'm already on Signing Agent and I'm on SnapDocs, and then, tell me how I should approach your offering since I'm already, paying for it, right? I'm in the middle tier plan. So I think I get a website, right? With the middle tier.
If middle tier is Notary Stars, so that doesn't come with the website. That gets a listing on Notary Stars. So to answer your question, in the marketing course, that's if you want to go as big as Nationwide. You can also be in the marketing course, and we go over in-person marketing, all those things. But the local website is basically, it's the same website, just some minor changes to make it easier. It still has all of the SEO tactics. Now, I in the video that I made that went out with the email yesterday, I did show, a brief example. If someone's looking for someone who visits a specific jail, if you don't have a landing page for that jail, it's not going to show you. If someone searches, let's say you live, and I'm going to use Phoenix, Arizona. I can go to Glendale. It's very easy for me to get to Glendale. The beginning of Glendale and some of their zip codes are just a few miles from my house. But if I'm advertising all in Phoenix based on my location, if somebody searches for me, they won't find me. They're going to find somebody closer to them. The website is designed to make this person searching feel as if you're closer to them. So when it makes Google think that you're closer to that customer or that you have a presence there, so that when they're searching in that area, see, I'm lucky. I live in Central Phoenix. I can go to Glendale, Scottsdale, parts of Tempe, and I can just put in those city names and zip codes and get my presence a little bit larger than just being right here in Central Phoenix. Even Notary Stars only allows you to take so many areas, and it's going to go from your primary listing area. Any of those directories will. The URL is really built for your primary area, even though you can put in other service locations. Anything that you list on really gives you a finite area. This allows you to control the area that you want to have a web presence for.
So what I have now with you is I will be listed in your directory. So as somebody types in, my zip code, I would come up on your website, right?
Correct. But you're going to be in a directory where they go looking through other listings. This allows you to have your own presence.
Okay. And then you have all of these other things like the fingerprinting and the translation. Does that show up on what I have now, or does that only show up on the marketing piece?
That shows up on the Notary Stars website. Yes, all of those components are part of Notary Stars. On the local website, it's just notary work only.
Okay. So if I want all that other stuff, I would have to upgrade to the top tier offering that you have, right?
Correct.
Okay. Well, I'm just going through everything, so.
No problem.
Okay. Can I ask you another question since I have you? Yeah, sure. I'm finding it a little slow these days. What are you seeing nationally? It just seems, I don't know, this month has been a little slow. Is it just my area, or what are you seeing across the country?
I think it's slower across the country, but I hope everyone listening right now turns up their microphone and hears this. It is slow for loan signings, and the world is full of all types of needs for notaries. You can, if you're in a state that allows I-9 verifications, you need to be creating I-9 verification advertisements. If you're in a state that has anybody living and breathing, there are advanced healthcare directives in hospitals and estate plans that need to be done. If you are if you are interested in helping people with document translations, you can now put that on your agenda with our partnership that we have here at Notary Stars. And if you are interested in apostilles, there's a way for you to do them in all 50 states. There is no reason for any of us to complain that there's not enough money out there. It's only if we only open our mind to loan signings. We can point you in the direction here at Notary Stars of great places to go, great trainers to connect with, and give you a place to market those things. But please do not limit yourself to only loan signings. Now, for those of you that don't need to make a certain amount of income and you're like, I'm fine with whatever comes my way, that's all good and great. But there are going to be mixed people on this call. Some of you are going to want more business. Some of you are going to want less business. That's going to be up for you to decide. But those of you who want more, you got to put your eggs in a lot of different baskets.
Oh, the apostille thing. When I called the Secretary of State in North Carolina, and
we lost you there, Mr. Howe.
Hey, you're saying it's in every state, but I'm not seeing that. Can you give me some insight into that, into the I mean, I know you're in Arizona. It may not be a fair question, but
I absolutely can, but the thing about it is we do a call just for apostilles once a month.
oh, I'm sorry.
If you want to send an email to me, I'll be glad to get with you on that because we've now gone into 3 questions and we want to give everybody a chance.
Okay, sorry about that. Sorry.
No, do not be sorry. I'm so happy you're here. I love your Southern accent when you come visit us, and I want you to come back every time. We just got to get to other people, but do send me an email. I'm Ronnie at notarystars.com, and I'll give you a call and we'll go over your area.
Okay, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Hal. And Mr. Manuel, you want to read the next question that's up on the jot forms? Okay, guys, these are jot form questions that everyone has pre-submitted prior to our session tonight. We can put that link in the chat for you to use for next week as well.
Mr. Ronnie, do you want to take E&O question? That's a wrong question.
Yeah, I can take.
No. That's
That's a shout out.
Yeah.
We're going to Regina's question.
yeah.
Got it.
Exactly.
So this is for Ms. Beth. For you.
Okay.
On the residential application, when does the applicant put their initials? I have been told if there are 2 people signing, only the first person adds it. If there is 1 applicant, it should not be filled out. I am confused.
Well, you're confused. So there's 2 loan application. One is a 1003. That's the one we see most often with standard loans, refinances, purchases. The other is a 1009, and that's only for FHA or VA loans. The difference is on the 1003, there's going to be a section A, personal information for the primary borrower, and then a section B, co-borrower information. Both of those 2 areas have a spot for the person to initial if they are applying for joint credit, meaning husband and wife or father and daughter, or, whatever that, 2 buds out of college, whatever that situation is. You only always have the person who's named in section A initial their joint credit space. And then the co-borrower only initials their credit space. They don't initial each other's. The same thing on a 1009, the FHA or the VA loan application. It looks entirely different. There's 2 signature lines at the top of that loan application. And if you look at the fine print underneath of it, it says, if applying for joint credit, both signers sign on this line. If it's only 1 person and there is no joint credit, nobody signs. So hopefully that has helped you going forward. I am going to throw in a caveat though. There are some lenders that want to see things done differently. It will be in your instructions when you get the order, either on the order or one of the first pages in the package when you're printing it out. If they're telling you to do something different than what I just explained to you, it's for that specific title company or lender, probably lender more specifically. That is not applied to every other loan signing that you do. Okay, so what I explained to you is standard operational procedure unless you get instructions that tell you otherwise. Hope that helps, Regina. Going on, let's go back to hands up in the gallery, and then we need to bring our special guest in. So, Mr. Butch, would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Yes. Thank you, Miss Beth. My question is, I am coming up with a template I would like to donate to Notary Stars. The template is a template that links one notary to another. I know I've already done that with Mr. Program, Mr. Manuel, and the template will say if you're over near Mrs. Beth, if you're in her area, give her a call. She's a great notary. And on that template, Mrs. Beth would link back to me. If you're in surprise, give Butch a call. He's a great notary if you're in that area. Of course, it would be blank and it would be a fill-in. Can we get some feedback on that? Is that a good idea? Because I sure would like to link out to every notary that I know of.
So, Butch, we've been talking about this in class. If you would keep coming to class, we've been actually talking about this, and I know you get busy. We've been actually talking about this, and we have something within the marketing students.
Okay.
I do like the idea of that for the masses. I would need to take a look at it to make sure that it's on the up and up, that we're not capturing any information, that there's the right terms and conditions for it. I'm always open to that, and that would be something that we all can work with, because nobody backlinks to a notary. I'm sorry. I keep trying, but it's really hard. So we only really have each other to backlink with, and I think that there is something that we can do with that. So if you want to put together a proposal and schedule a meeting, I know I have one that I need to get on the table with you to launch your new template that you escalated. But if you guys don't know what Butch is talking about, Butch is actually one of my top students. He took the ball, ran with it across the field goal, and then some. So I'd love to see what you have that you're working on. Put together a proposal, concise for me, because time is a thing. And I'd love to put together time to take a look at what you have to offer and see what we can do with it.
Yeah. Okay. Just an idea. All right, Ronnie. All right. We'll talk about it. Okay, buddy. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Miss Beth, can we have Manuel go one more question? Because I know Miss Prunette is here tonight. I want to get her question because I try to look up and see who is actually here tonight.
Okay.
Manuel, can you read that last question, and then we're going to go to Miss Samantha.
Absolutely. The next question is for you. It came from Prunette B. I only have a LinkedIn page that is active right now. I plan to have a 5-page website soon, but I wanted something active to show my online presence right now. Is it possible to add an intake form and my scheduling link if I only have a landing page?
Absolutely, Ms. Prunette. And the websites that I put out, I actually encourage notaries to have intake forms. Also show them some of the ones that I put on my website. I think that having an intake form is really important, and I think you should pay attention to your intake forms. They can become very complicated if you ask too many questions, where the customer will just abandon and be like, this is too much, because a lot of them don't know what we already know. And then there's also questions that you can ask those clients to turn. So every remote online notary, here is a free one for you. If they're using you from another country, you need to ask them, do they need the document apostille? Because they're going to take it from you and turn around and find somebody who does apostilles or try to do it themselves. So you can turn that into business. So your intake forms can actually help you increase business. And in my personal arena, when I was just me, not Unlimited Ink, I started using intake forms and charging. And I know some notaries will charge like a $25 deposit just in case they cancel. Usually when you get like a small portion from an intake form saying, hey, I'd like to schedule this time, showing your availability. If you even get a portion, they're less likely to cancel, because I hated getting halfway to an appointment saying I found it cheaper or I don't need it anymore. It kind of binds them to working with you. I don't think I've had one cancellation on general notary work in a long time. So I'm all about adding in, starting with your landing page and then keeping it consistent for other intakes as you grow your business, whether it be for apostille or different products that you're selling. You can have different intake forms and direct the customers to those. So thank you for getting that last one in. I know that we're trying to get off the job form or off the questions, but I saw that she was here tonight, so I wanted to answer that one.
Well, perfect. Miss Kirsten, if you can find Samantha in the gallery, please, and give her co-host ability. There she is. Good evening, Samantha.
Gotcha. There you go.
I couldn't unmute. Are you guys trying to keep me quiet tonight?
No, never.
Hi, guys. Happy October. I am ramping up for tax season. I don't know about you guys, but I certainly am. So this was a fun one to put together because I didn't have this put together in like a slideshow. I am going to try and keep it basic, but I'll start soon. So we are going to talk about business structures today. I don't know if you guys wanted to do an intro. I just kind of took over and went with it. So
You're fine.
Okay, very good.
Samantha Bentanzos, she's a notary public. She speaks Spanish. She's our tax lady.
And I'm going to figure out how to make this a slideshow. There it is. I don't know why it seems like it's been a long time since I've done a slideshow. No. Oh, it kicked me off. There it is. Now it should look like a slideshow.
Ta-da.
Yes.
Good. Okay, so we are going to talk today about entities. There's a lot of information about business entities, how to set up your business, but I wanted you to know the basic, because what do you hear when you go on TikTok? You hear you have to create an LLC. You have to become a corporation. You have to do all these big, great things. And I'm here to tell you that that may not be the best thing for you. So I don't know why my screen duplicated, but we're going to just work with it. So I brought some information about these different types of entities that you could be. Before I start, I am an enrolled agent. It is the highest designation given by the IRS, where most of you are like, I need a CPA. A CPA is an accounting professional. They are licensed by their state. They go through lots of training, take these big tests, and they can only work in the state they're in. If they change states, they have to get recertified, relicensed in a new state. I am an enrolled agent. I don't do accounting. I am straight taxes, and I am actually registered, commissioned with the IRS. So I can work anywhere in the country. If I decided to move to a new state tomorrow, I would have the exact same designation. I only personally do 1040 individual tax returns. So sometimes I get you guys calling me and you need help with LLC or corporations. I don't do them just because I really want to specialize in something. There's so much tax law. I am choosing to be really good at one thing. Or it's a lot more than one thing, but not at everything. So just so you know, if you call me with questions about LLCs, corporations, I'm probably going to refer you elsewhere, but I do have great referrals to send you to. I am not an attorney. You know that one well. I am a tax pro. I can give some tax information and advice. I do not give personal tax advice to people who aren't my clients. It is an insurance thing, so you are welcome to ask me generic questions, and I will try and answer like this information as generically as possible. But if you need a one-on-one, then we'll have to set up a consultation so that you can become my client and my insurance will back me up. So with that said, we need to define a few things before we get started. A lot of people think of LLCs, they think of corporations, and they're like, this is so I can pay less tax, or this is so I can write stuff off. And that's not exactly true. There is one thing is protection and another thing is taxes. LLCs actually do not affect your taxes in any way, shape, or form. You can go be an LLC all day long. It's not going to give you any additional write-offs. It does nothing for your taxes. It is a protection thing. It is there to separate you from your business. However, and I am not an attorney, I want you to speak with your attorney, but I don't want you to just go off of TikTok advice and go open an LLC. LLCs do not protect from liability for own personal wrongdoing, like professional neglect. What is our business based on? It's based on our knowledge. It's based on what we're doing. So if you listen to the definition of an LLC, you could see that there might lack quite a bit of protection for somebody in our industry. Doctors, CPAs, pretty much any profession that is based on the owner's knowledge, they're not even allowed to have LLCs. Notaries have not been put into that category yet, but I want you to know that it is questionable as to whether or not an LLC would even protect you, because anything you do wrong is going to be based on your professional abilities, and could be seen as neglect or misconduct. Okay, so it's just really something to keep in mind when you think about doing an LLC. It's not going to do anything for taxes. It is solely for protection, and there is questionability as to whether or not it would actually protect you. Okay, the other thing I want to talk about is pass-through. What is a pass-through entity? It literally means you and the business are one and the same. Even though you're doing a tax return for your business, it doesn't matter if you leave money in your bank account. It doesn't matter whether or not you take money out. Your income minus your expenses becomes your personal liability that you're paying taxes on. Okay, so that's a pass-through entity. Whereas a corporation, the corporation's going to pay their own taxes, and then you're going to pay your own taxes. With a pass-through entity, anything that's left over after your expenses becomes your income. So that's what these terms are. So there's 5 different ways you can hold, and some of these can be done in combination. Sole proprietor, easiest thing possible. You go and get a DBA, or you become Samantha Batanzos Notary Public and you start a business, and that's a sole proprietorship. A partnership is pretty much the same thing, except for there's 2 or more people involved. There is actually no requirement in most states for any registration agreements or anything. If you've ever been in a partnership, you know that's a really bad idea, because you will inevitably fight over some portion of that business. And so you need to have, number 1, what are the rules of our business? And number 2, what's our exit strategy if we can't agree anymore? Okay, so sole proprietors, partnerships, pretty much the same thing, just matters how many owners you have. LLC, we've established, is for taxes. And then you have a C corporation, which is a default, like McDonald's, right? They would be a C corporation. And you have an S corporation, which is a special election you have to put in. So for personal liability protection, you have none when you're a sole proprietor. You're the same as your business. You are your business. LLC is questionable, but it is supposed to provide some protection. Partnerships, if you're a general partner, no. If there's an agreement or a written something and you're a limited partner, you might have some protection. And then C Corps, or any kind of corporation, is going to have the best protection. It actually separates that business from you. For taxation, because remember, protection and taxation are separate. Sole proprietors, pass through. It all goes right onto your taxes. LLC, you can be a sole proprietor if you're just a person and you go open an LLC. You're pretty much a sole proprietor LLC. That's going to be a pass through. You could also be a partnership LLC, and that's going to be a pass through with each partner taking their portion. You can also do an LLC and elect to be an S Corp. So that way you are addressing protection and you are addressing taxes. So that's something different you can do. C corporations are double taxed. So your tax as you do a corporate return, you get taxed as a corporation, then you pay yourself a W-2 or dividends or however you're going to take your money out of your corporation, and you're taxed again. So that's something to keep in mind with C corporation. The S corporation tried to avoid that. It avoids that. So instead of the corporation paying the taxes, it kind of acts like a pass-through, but you can leave some money in the business sometimes. Okay, so there's a little bit of difference there. I'm checking my timer to see I don't go all night. Oh, I didn't start it. That's okay. We'll go halfway. So the cost to create and maintain these is really something important that you need to think about before even starting this, okay? Sole proprietorship, none are minimal. You might have to go pay to register a DBA. You're going to need your license, your notary commission, which you're going to need anyway. The LLC depends on your state. It really varies a lot by state. The partnership also depends on your states. Most states don't even require anything. Corporation, you're looking at somewhere between 500 and 5,000. And then the S Corp could either fall into the LLC category or the C corporation. Plus, you're going to have to pay a tax pro, or you can do it yourself, to do Form 2553 to elect to be this S Corp. So just to give you some ideas of what these tax rates are and what these costs are, a C corporation pays 21% flat rate. Okay, So unless you're making $200,000 and you're in a 37% tax rate, I don't know if you're, C corporations at 21%. A lot of us aren't even there yet on our personal taxes. That's the first step. Then you have to pay yourself reasonable wages. So you're going to get a W-2 from your corporation, and you're going to pay taxes on your W-2 as if you had a job. And then after that reasonable salary, if you still have money left over, you can pay yourself dividends, which are taxed at 0, 15, or 20%, depending on how much money you make. So we're talking, if you're only making $40,000 a year, you're going to be paying double tax on $40,000. You're going to be paying a higher corporate rate. It's not going to make a lot of sense. An S corporation is similar. You have to pay yourself a reasonable salary. You're going to get a W-2. The owner can take distributions up to your basis. Your basis is the money you put into it. You can see how complicated this becomes. So when you think about how complicated this becomes, think about how much more money your tax preparer is going to charge you to do all these tax returns, because now they are so much more complicated. For an LLC in California, the startup cost is $890, and the minimum annual fee in California is $800. So just to have an LLC for the questionable protection, you're talking $800 a year. But if you go to somewhere like Arkansas, it's $200 to start and like $150 a year. New York was $250 to start and $25 per year. So it really depends on your state if this is worthwhile or not. Or do you want to invest that money in really good errors and omission insurance to just cover yourself with insurance? Here's some more information on each of these. So the tax forms, most of you are used to a 1040. That's your personal tax form, right? All you do when you're a sole proprietor is you add a Schedule C. You do your business, you do your income, you do your expenses, whatever's left over, it flows right onto your 1040. For an LLC, it's going to work pretty much the same way unless you've done something on the tax end. If you're a partnership, it's going to flow over to a 1065. If you're a corporation, you're looking at an 1120. These are all different tax forms with different due dates and different things that have to happen. 1040s are the only standalone. Anything else, you're going to have to do 2 tax returns. So for a partnership, you're going to do a 1065. And then that's going to create a K1 that's going to go to each partner. And now you put that on your own tax return on your 1040. Okay. If you're doing a corporation, it's an Form 1120. You figure out how much the corporation made. For a C Corp, it's going to issue a whole bunch of different types, depending on, are you getting a W-2? Did you have dividends? Did you have draws? Whatever else you had in your C Corp. And then you're going to do your 1040. If you have an S Corp, you are looking at 1120S. That's going to give you a K1, just like the partnership, which is your income in different categories. And then you have to do your personal tax return. So again, if we skip a line and you come down to this average cost, 1040s with the Schedule C, if you're just a sole proprietor, you're probably looking somewhere between $400 and $800 to get your tax return done. Okay. If you get up to some of these corporation partnership, you're probably looking $800 to $1,000 to $2,500 because you're paying for 2 tax returns. Not only is the corporation more difficult, but then you have to do 2. For self-employment tax, which is one that really hits small business owners, we have a little, if everybody's heard me talk, you know that we can choose to write off and remove our notarial fees from self-employment tax. You're still paying federal tax, you're still paying state tax, but we don't have to pay this 15.3% on whatever our state allows our notarial fees to be. Like California, it's $15 per signature. So I can remove that from my income before I calculate the self-employment tax. Not everybody has that as a small business, and maybe you're doing other things, or your travel fees have become great and they're covering a lot more than your notarial fees. You're going to end up paying some self-employment tax. You're going to pay that as a sole proprietor. You're going to pay that as an LLC. You're going to pay that as a partnership. C Corp, you're going to pay it, but you pay half, the corporation pays half. on your reasonable salary. So you can pay yourself a little bit less, and then you can give yourself dividends. That's a way to play with it. That's why corporations start coming into play. S Corp, you're only going to pay it on your reasonable salary. So let's say you made $100,000, you gave yourself a $40,000 salary, and then you took out another $40,000 in dividends. Maybe you're not going to have to pay that 15% tax. Okay, so there can be some savings. It's usually a lot higher income before you see that in a corporation. Bookkeeping needs, basic, sole proprietor, do it yourself. Please use Notary Assist, Notary Gadget, whatever that we have bookkeeping software that's for notaries. Don't try and do QuickBooks. I don't even want to look at QuickBooks because I'm not an accountant. I am a tax person. QuickBooks is way advanced, and honestly, we don't need it. Bookkeeping does just fine. I have about 6 different avenues of income. I do it all on Notary Assist. It works great. LLC, again, you're probably going to fall into that sole prop partnership. You can do it yourself. Once you get into C Corp and S Corp, it gets a lot more complicated. And it's not because, oh, I need to track how much paper I buy. Oh, I need to track how much gas I spent. It's because you need to know how to calculate inside basis and outside basis. And can you take dividends out? Did you put enough money in? And there's all kinds of other things that I really, really, really don't touch that if you are not an accounting major. That means you're going to have to hire a bookkeeper. And they charge, you know, $200 to $500. $200 a month is for a pretty basic business. You know, maybe you have 50 transactions a month or less. $200 is probably a really good price for bookkeeping per month. Many preparers require now, many bookkeepers will require QuickBooks. QuickBooks has gotten a fat head, and they think that they can charge $1 million and people are going to pay it because they are. And it is going up astronomically every year. Where it used to be like a $500 a year subscription, I've heard people paying upwards of $3,000 a year for QuickBooks. And if your bookkeeper requires you to buy QuickBooks, you're going to have to buy that license so that your bookkeeper can do your books in QuickBooks. So, with all of that said, when should you look at these different entities? Sole proprietors, nothing to do. You can just be. I've been in business as a sole proprietor for the last 12 years. I have really good insurance, $1 million minimum policy. Partnership, pretty much the same thing. Please get an agreement. Have something in writing of how you're going to run business. LLC, if you're worried about exposure, you know, you could do that. That would be an attorney question. That's up to you, but it's not necessary. Don't hear all the hype and think I need to run out and open an LLC. Otherwise I can't write off business expenses, because that's just not true. S Corp, I have a friend, a really good friend, who does a lot of bookkeeping, a lot of business corporate returns. She says to look at S Corporation if you are making more than $55,000 a year net. So after expenses, if your net income is more than $55,000, then you might want to talk to a preparer about doing an analysis of which, if it would save you money to be an S Corp. And that's usually going to be an LLC S Corp for our business. Unless you're going public, what is the purpose of a C Corp? It's to sell stock. You want to sell shares in your business. If you're not looking to sell shares in your business, I could not see a reason why any of us would become a C Corp. So just wanted to throw that out there. By those corporation levels, you should be hiring pros to do your taxes and your bookkeeping if you're going to go that route. It's important to know your trade. It's important to know when we don't know another trade and we need to bring professionals in. Not doing that to sell myself, because I don't even do corporate taxes, but I really truly believe that. And I don't do corporate taxes because it's a whole nother level of difficulty. And I would rather be out teaching the basics, because I think people need that education too. So that's my story. I'm going to open it up to questions.
And that's a lot of information just for 5 different types of entities. Who would have thought, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's incredible. We do have a couple of hands raised in the gallery. We've got a few minutes left. Let's see if Renee would like to unmute and ask her question.
And Miss Samantha, can you stop sharing your screen while we go through these?
Yeah, thank you. I thought I was, but did it stop?
No, ma'am. We're still seeing you.
Um,
I'm unmuted.
There we go. I stopped it. We got it.
Thank you. It's telling me it's not up. That's weird.
Go ahead, Renee.
I actually have two questions because I had a question before she came on. But one, are you going to share that your little thing there? Because I did the whole LLC thing thinking I had to, and I need to kind of figure some things out on that. But I like your little thing there.
Are you asking her if she'll share her slides?
Yeah, the bar one, her Excel sheet.
I can share those, Beth, if you have a way to send them out.
Sure. Send me an email, Beth at Notary Stars, and if you want a copy of the slides, I'll get them from Samantha and forward them to you.
That's great.
Okay.
My other question is actually probably one I could probably comes into whether the responsibility thing she said. I have a question. What if I had I went out for a notary. The company I was doing a car one for notary. They sent completely blank sheets and wanted the customer to sign completely blank sheets on that. And that I'm not comfortable with. That seems very wrong. And I know we're not supposed to guide anybody to do anything.
So you took an order for a car sale?
Yeah. Yeah.
And everything was blank?
Uh-huh. Or it was one sheet, it had just an itty bitty thing on it, and they wanted the customer to sign blank sheets.
And you're telling me that was not a mistake?
It was not. It absolutely was not.
Because I'd be looking at that going, oh, somebody sent the wrong paper.
Before I even went out, I went back to the company that hired me. I went back to the company. I said, I'm not comfortable with this. Something's wrong here. And they called the dealer. They called the dealer, and the dealer wanted me to go out with it like that.
Okay, so yeah, that probably, you're not going to do that. That's unethical, number one. Number two, the only thing you're really notarizing in those auto packages are a power of attorney for them to get their license plates and register the vehicle for them. So that you could have done, but it would have had to had some information about the vehicle on there. So total
no VIN, nothing.
Yeah, you knew that.
And I told the customer, I know I'm not supposed to tell the customer or anything. And I did go out and I told the customer she was going to just look at it, says stuff to sign. And I said, before you sign anything here, I need you to really look at these documents. And she goes, what? And she was in such a hurry. I said, there's nothing on them. And she goes, oh. So, I mean, she didn't sign, but I did have to point it out. You know what I mean?
And you know what? That's why we go over information on loan documents too, regardless of whether it's a vehicle or real estate. We're saying, here's your name, double check it. Here's the property address, double check it. Here's the numbers, make sure they are what you expect. So you did the right thing. Good job.
I know I did the right thing. And if the car plate, and I didn't go back out for the next, I don't know that she ended up buying from them, but they did not call us back for the next part. And I got docked for the going out. You know, they took, the pay got taken, but
well, they would have only, if you didn't complete the assignment, they would have only paid you a trip and a print fee. So yeah. Alrighty.
Yeah. But that's, it says that I can get in trouble because, when you read the stuff. So I have thought, okay, maybe I know I'll never buy from that car dealer and they're shady, but, it's one of those things I wondered what the rule is on it. Cause I wouldn't have changed what I did on it, but what's the rule of thumb?
Yeah,
there is no rule of thumb when it comes to being honest. When we have to be very careful as notaries about guiding
I know,
us
I read the documents on that. I was like, oh,
to sign or not sign, telling someone you should really look at this. If they continue to sign, we can't stop them. That would be, against the thing. Now, if it's a notarized document and there's, you can stop that part, that's your jurisdiction. Anything that's notarized, you can say, hey, look, I can't notarize this because there's blank spaces, especially if there's a jurat there. But we have to be very careful because then a client can turn around and sue you and say they told them not to sign these documents. We had a perfect client. We walk a fine line as notaries, and I love that Samantha started with LLCs don't protect us from those.
yeah.
So we have to take our personal beliefs out of business when we're working with businesses in a lot of ways. But at the same time, you can't notarize something that is wrong, right? Like you can't be asked to notarize a document. If someone, for instance, I was at a title company once and I had a marital status affidavit, and the guy looks at me and goes, "Between you and me, I'm married." And I was like, "Oh, well, you just told the wrong person." And so there is a fine line that we walk. I just encourage you to be very careful not to ever cross the line and say, "I wouldn't sign this." That's where we want to draw the line, is saying, "I wouldn't sign this." But at the same time, you do have a responsibility to protect the public. It's just that very fine line that we walk. And if you ever find yourself in a sticky situation, before you open your mouth, walk away from the table, go out to the car. I forgot a pen. I have to make a call. Call your Notary Stars, and we'll get on the phone. We'll have a powwow about it, and we can figure out if that's the best course of action for you. Sometimes having an ear. By the way, using even the National Notary Association, I have to say this.
I've called them before.
Miss Samantha, don't go anywhere. I'm going to unpin you so we can all see each other, but I still want you to answer questions that are up. For those of you who have the National Notary Association in your speed dial, or Notary Stars in your speed dial, or Notary Academy in your speed dial, you cannot call the National Notary Association while you're at a signing table with a lender. They can actually turn around and ask you to pay credit protection for calling the National Notary Association. And we're starting to see that with signers, where you're calling support lines, whether it be Notary Stars, because the National Notary Association, as much as is a part of all of our careers, the Notary Stars line, as much as it is a part of your career, the Notary Academy support line, they are not privy to the information in those loan documents. And if you mention those signers' names and say that they're getting a loan, that is crossing the lines of non-public personal information. So you need to step away from your signing to make that phone call and just say, "Hey, I have to call, a party associated with this," but do not do it in front of your signers, because we have started to see kickbacks from people who are getting privy to the fact that they have financial privacy, which is something we put in front of them for every loan. So if you have a problem with a signature line or all these things, when you call the National Notary Association, you can't say, "I'm doing a loan transaction for XYZ," because that is now happening. And keep in mind, people, most kitchen tables, 50% to 70% of them today, my kitchen table's on camera. We are all on camera, whether we're doing remote online notary or in person. That can be proven. So be very careful with that. I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in on that as well.
Good point. My camera's on. Mine is on camera too.
Yeah. So just remember, there's no "I didn't do that" anymore, because it only costs $24.99 a month to have your whole house on camera. Anybody.
Yeah. All righty. Let's go ahead and move on. This might be a Samantha question. Mehun Oris, North Carolina. Do you want to unmute and ask your question?
I need to talk. Okay. Hello. I have a question about the form 4506-C. This one is IVES request for transcript of tax return. So my question is, most of the time, is joint application is joint return. So if on the 2A on the spouse side, there is on the documents, there's no name and social security number. Do I need to ask the signer or fill out all this information or not?
No, you do not. Even though there might be joint credit and that 4506C is a request for a copy of their tax transcripts, if that spouse's name is not on that document, do not add it. There should be a separate one for that spouse. Although I have to say, here we go again, that's not a hard and fast rule. Sometimes they are both on the same 4506C, but if it's not there, do not add it. Do not change that document.
But that said, if it's a joint return and you need to fill out all this information.
You're not filling anything out on the 4506C. You're just verifying the name is spelled correctly. The social needs to be there. If it isn't, you can have the signer fill that in. And then they're jumping down to the bottom. They're checking that attestation box that says they're the right person to sign the document. And then they're signing, dating, and filling out phone number if that's part of the signature line. That's all.
And for remote online notaries, Beth, they do have to tick the box on the 4506C that says that they signed it electronically. So there is an additional tick box on there, 2 tick boxes for those of you who tag your own documents. That box has to be signed, stating that they signed it electronically.
Yeah, for Ron. Yeah.
So from what I understand, if that form only has one person on there, spouse doesn't need to fill out, and the spouse doesn't need to sign it. Is it
That's
right?
correct.
Okay, why do I always heard the lender or the title company ask me the spouse, if it's a joint return, the spouse need to fill out the information and sign on the bottom?
Miss Beth, maybe the best way to say this is, wouldn't it be if they're both on the note, then it would be they need their tax returns, but only one of them on the note, they only need that person's tax return?
Well, that's correct. If it's joint credit, there's going to be 2 4506Cs, one for each of them, or
Yes.
they're going to be both contained on the one document. But for us to add that information, if it's not there, we are not to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, next time I will not do it. I always ask, do you guys file tax return, a joint return? They said yes. I will ask them fill out the information. So I don't need to ask them fill out the spouse information if the name is not on the form.
Correct. That's right.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you.
Last hand up would be Alicia, and then we're going to let Mr. Ronnie close us out. Go ahead, Alicia.
Hi, everyone. I'm fairly new to the notary industry. Started out in April of this year, sorry. And so my question is, for a sole proprietor, should I be filing quarterly or should I be filing at the very end of the tax season? What's the rule of thumb? What are you guys doing? I'm not sure, because I know most businesses do quarterly, but if I file at the very end, am I going to get hit really hard at a one-time tax rate? So this question is for Samantha, if she's still here with us.
She is.
Hi, I am. So that's a great question. So you do not file quarterly. There's no such thing as a quarterly filing. There are quarterly estimated payments. So it really depends on how much you're going to make. Your goal is to not owe more than $1,000. And the only way you're going to know that is if you go and play with the IRS calculator. You can literally Google IRS withholding calculator. Make sure you put all of your income, all of your spouse's income. It's going to give you a really rough estimate. Or you have a tax professional run some numbers for you. Once you do your taxes the first year, you'll have a better idea of, if you have a good preparer that explains to you, you will have a good idea of what next year is going to look like. But of course, everything we do is an estimate because you really don't know how much you're going to make in the year. We really don't know how our taxes are going to end up. But it's a good idea, especially as business owners, to check in the middle of the year. With that said, if you owe more than $1,000 at the end of the year, there is a waiver the first year because you didn't know, as long as you paid 100% of the taxes that you paid last year, right? So if you had a W-2 job last year and your final tax liability was $3,000, you want to make sure you have $3,000 in before tax season, because you don't want to owe more than $1,000 or there will be penalties. Once you start doing your business, your goal is always to pay 100% of what your taxes were last year, so that you never have that penalty going forward. If you just want to do it so that you're not shocked at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year in April when you do your taxes, then you want to hire a tax person to go through and do an estimate for you and help you set up those quarterly payments. The IRS does not like their money in April when it's due. It is due throughout the year. Even though we think of tax time as once a year, it is actually due per tax law throughout the year. You will be penalized if you don't pay throughout the year. And the more money you make, the higher those penalties are going to be, because it's a percentage. So you definitely want to get on estimated payments quarterly. But honestly, if it's your first year, you're not making, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 this year, I wouldn't worry too much about it yet. Make sure you're setting aside 15, 20%, somewhere around there, just to have some money for taxes. It's really hard to gauge what that percentage is, because it's based on, are you married? Do you have kids? Do you write off a house? How much are you reinvesting in your business? There's so many factors, but 15, 20% is probably good. So you're not like, have no money to pay taxes at the end of the year.
Thank you, Ms.
Alrighty, Mr. Ronnie, I think that about does it for this evening.
All right, so I'm going to share a little story with everybody that I find life-changing. I do need to preface this. It's just a story. It will have some religion involved in it. If it's not your religion, please do not think that I'm forcing religion down your throats. But I find it to be a perfect parable to share to close out the evening. So there was a man walking down a country road, and he came to a beautiful field, and down that field there was a fence going straight down the middle. And he walked up, and all of a sudden he looked over to his left here, and he saw God sitting in the field, and God was like, hey, I'll give you everything you ever need, eternal life. But that's it. It was just God in the field. And then he looked over to the right, and he saw the devil. And the devil was sitting there with jewels, and he had women. He was like, guy, I can give you whatever you want. He snapped his fingers. I can give you boys if you want them. He goes, I can give you whatever you want. Just come to this side of the fence. So the guy thought for himself, God, he looked over at God and he goes, I'd really like to be there. Everybody knows that's where you want to go. And he was like, but that sure looks fun. And he thought there for about an hour. And then he walked right up to the fence and he sat right on the fence. And before you knew it, everything flashed, and the man was gone, and he was in hell. And he looked up at the sky and he said, God, why am I in hell? I chose to sit right in the middle. I didn't go to either side. And the devil walks up and he says, I'm sorry, son. I'm on the fence. And so you have to be very, very careful as you are making choices in life. Sometimes you have to pick a lane and stay in your lane. You can't go one way or the other when it comes to making decisions in life. And that actually, guys, when I read that, it almost brought me to tears, because I feel like that's how I lived the first 20-something years of my life. Of course, I'm 45 now, and you guys that know me know where I'm at in life now. But that's how I lived the first 25 years of my life. So if you find yourself in that predicament of choosing one way or the other, don't sit on the fence. Always choose the good way. All right? With that said, if you are not naked and you are not stuffing your face with a sandwich right now, please turn on your cameras so we can give our signature wave. Wave to your fellow notaries. Wave to Miss Samantha for coming here and helping us out tonight with General Mentorship. Wave to Miss Laura who stopped in tonight. Wave to each other, guys. I'm going to scroll through. Come on, page 2, page 3. I want to see you guys light up too. We had 180 members on tonight. Love you all. Hope to see you next week. And remember, bring a friend. All right. Good night, everybody.